Hey, what's up, viewer? Welcome back to Day 13, Hour 3. This is the Nebulous Live Development Creation Series, and excuse me while I'm over here clicking around on stuff. I was double checking something before I started the recording. Okay. Alright. I'm sorry. Welcome back to the Nebulous Live Development Creation Series. This is Day 13, Hour 3, and I am continuing on my quest to properly generate scaled galactic tiers. And the numbers I had decided on last time were going with a galaxy that was 1,000,000 meters across, going with nebula that were only 10,000 meters square, which will allow for certain dispersion of stars inside of that 10,000 square meters. If our stars are like 300 meters at the biggest, then we're looking at nebula being maybe anywhere from 5 to 10,000 square meters, and then with the planet sizes where they are now, with the star sizes where they are now, that'll give you the ability to fit a handful of stars in the system. Alright, so I'm going to have to... The tricky thing is the camera. Just due to field of view and essentially Alright, so let me think about this here. We've got disc and arm. Orient the camera. All of which are important for what we're trying to do here. And all of which need the shared value, which is some maximum value of galaxy diameter, basically. So the idea I'm getting for that is under galaxy, there isn't a galaxy we still have this galaxy script we've never used, so I think I'm just using that. So I'm going to go up here, reopen this galaxy script. I'm going to yank this mesh stuff that I was using earlier, and we're going to kind of go like this. So in here, we're just going to, all galaxy relevant data basically is going to here. So galaxy dimensions, for instance, goes in here, and this is going to have to get variableized better later, but for now, we're looking at anti-geo E6 or something like that. And is that correct? Actually, 1,000,000? Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I guess so. So 1,000,000 up and 1,000,000 over, but upwards we're talking like maybe 1,000 to make it completely flat, and eventually we can stack nebula. Would be part of the idea, and that will increase the amount of stars as well. But for now, let's go with a million by 1,000 by a million, and that is going to essentially become a. That is essentially going to determine how the camera needs to be. Okay, so now we're looking at something a little different. So now, if I look at generate galactic disk, so I have disk dimensions. But these now need to match or these need to scale based on what the galaxy dimension is. So the disk has to be like, and I'm debating on hand placing these or doing something else. So I'm considering doing a thing where I use percentages to sort of represent a percentage of the total value. And then the disk can just scale with whatever the galaxy dimensions are. And the disk buffer can scale in the same way. So let me open up a generate galactic disk here, and I'm going to change it just a little bit. Yank the splines code for a sec. And say disk dimensions. We can do disk dimensions. I like them being set up like this, so. And like, I wanted to do something like this and say percentage of galactic dimensions. Which means essentially we're going to need player data. So we're instantiating the disk, and then we're transforming its scale to be gigantic. Okay, so I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say disk ratios and assume I know what it means. So local scale is not just disk ratios. We must instead gather our player data. I think I can say object type. It's more efficient to do this because there's only one object in the entire hierarchy that has that, so it will know exactly where to go. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. And from here we can. Oh, actually, I did this incorrectly. Generate galactic. We actually only have to grab the galaxy script. And that is just get component galaxy. And then from galaxy we say new vector3 disk ratios. Oh, actually, I think I can just say, well, I guess to make it technical. Because, okay, so disk ratios dot x times galaxy dot galaxy dimensions dot x, and then we just do the same thing here. We can actually just copy this whole part here. And this will allow us to change the galaxy size, however that happens. And it will work correctly. And it's going to be a little weird with that, so I'm just going to have to manually run over here and change these. Alright, so now we have the scale changing to a percentage of it's essentially just going to be the percentage of whatever the galaxy is. So we can change that from somewhere else, and it will be able to change in here. Okay, so now we've got okay, so I can't help but feel like I'm going to have the player data anyway, because the player data is going to be necessary for I have to basically pass something into the player data, or I can pass it into the galaxy object also. And basically the galactic disk size, these two added together, contribute to the starting point of the first nebula spline, of the spline's initial position. Or I could just, the other thing is that the disk, I guess let's see. We might end up doing something very similar for the arm as well. So I guess the tricky part now is how to make the camera intelligently change its position instead of having to manually change the radius. So let's see what happens. If I set this up, there is in fact a disk, but the disk is probably gigantic. Oh, and actually its scale is set to 0. And it usually lets me use this. Oh, but I guess what I did was I didn't actually set any of the default values. So in terms of a ratio, the disk ratio here is, we're thinking, what, 10? Or it's times 10, right? So it's 0.1. 1, 0.1. I think, right? Or was it 0.01? Oh no, wait. So this is just saying that it's 10% of the nebula. I'm very sure. So it should make a disk that's 10,000. Should still make a disk that's 10,000 or 100,000 by 100,000. Just grab the disk, and now it's correct. So now to actually see it, we would have to click out here and then click galactic disk and zoom out. And we are legit, like, this is 100,000 meters across by 100,000 meters across. And it is actually 1,000 meters tall, even though it doesn't look like it. Definitely doesn't look like it's 1,000 meters. I guess these are 100,000, so that's 100 times taller. So it's a really thin disk, so that we can make that bigger if we needed to, but the other problem is, as we can see, is it's a circle, not an oval. So what was the ratio we were using? 3 to 5. So 6. 3/8 to 5/8. So change this to 0.06. The other thing we could do is, of course, make the galaxy a different size as well. So now if we take a look, now it's an oval. So you get zooming like at ratio, no problem. Which is very interesting. And if I look at the camera's positions, it's only... The camera's not that... Oh, I'm in the scene view, that's the thing. So really quickly, if I click on Game Object, Camera, maybe Edit? I forgot the hotkey, but there's a way to just lock your camera to... whatever the current scene camera is at, or wherever the current scene camera is at. To test, just to see how far away it is. Let's see if there's a match to scene. Nope. I've just forgotten. There's a hotkey for this, everybody. I forgot what it was. Oh, align view to selected. Align with view. Move to view. Is this the correct one here? Okay. So I'm looking here and it is managing to encompass a galactic disk that is 100,000 by 60,000. So it's got well over 100,000 view. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Let me click on the main camera and see what it sees. So the thing here is I'm going to have to change the far clipping plane to say like... Oh, that didn't work either. I guess that's not working. Maybe 1E7, and yeah, I'm going to mess with this a little bit. Okay, so that's kind of helping. It must just be in the wrong spot. So let me change this to 15, and let me change this back to like 1,000, and then let me double check. Where the main camera's at. It was still like... It's just on the wrong side of this. Let me change this to 11,000. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've managed to lose my camera big time. Okay, so it's just like way off, basically. Even though I saved the position. So let me try this again. Main camera. Align view to selected. Align with view. Move to view. Align with view. And now is the main camera the same thing? Nope, doesn't look like it. Ah, crap. Where's the camera? Okay, so now it's way up there, but I guess it's... Alright, I'm sorry, I'm jacking this up a little bit, trying to figure out how to how best to, man, see, I have like no moving power for interspatial here. Okay, so let's see, main camera. It looks like it's, so the disc is like this way. Whoa, it's just freaking out on me here. Well, it like is like really confused here. And I can't find the disc anywhere also, it's just kind of strange. Definitely weird. So we jump onto the main camera. I guess that's why I'm having trouble, is because it's so close to this. I'm actually not seeing a camera gizmo. Maybe that's why this is jacked up. Maybe if I throw this up to like 1E7 it will... I guess not. I'm not seeing any of the visual feedback for this. Yep, so every time I try to look at the disc, it's... Okay, let's actually move those like on top of each other, basically. Which is not the intention. And then the main camera. Kind of needs to look something like this. I think that's jacked up, but... I hate for it to be too big or something. Wait, let me check, turn the gizmos on here, okay. Oh, whoops, my galactic disk needs to reset its position. Okay, so this thing's just like way out of position. That's an E7. If I change it to an E6, E5, E6, and I can just see it. Field of view, though, is terrible for... Well, actually, I'm going to have to see, like, way more stuff, basically. So the rotation's a little weird. It's not zoomed out enough yet. And now it's saying that the world size, the world coordinates are too big. Can I just force them to be integers? I don't know about that, actually. So, I guess I'll have to see if this is going to work or not. The other thing would be take the camera and raise the field of view to be like really big. Big enough to encompass the whole thing basically, and then trying to find the transform tool in this thing. and then move it forward, but it's not giving me the transform tool to actually do that with here. And it looks like I broke it basically. So let me just say this is 115,000. This is negative 15,000. And this is like 15,000. Or whatever. But we really want to put it like something more like this. Without, oh, it's already getting pissed off at me. So maybe a million's too big for the disk. So let's bring this down to like 100,000. That's 10,000, so 100,000. 100, and then this one's already 60,000. Okay, so then the disk would have to be 10,000. 6,000 at 100. And then I've got the main camera. I can just reset it, and then I can like rotate it a little bit. And then I can zoom it out without giving it extremely terrible floating point issues here. And then I can basically get the whole galaxy in there. If I can find the proper ratio. Okay, so I can also basically save this position. So 11,000, 10,000, negative 17,000. And then save these rotations, so 25 and negative 35 for now. And this is going to be an, oh, well, hold on, let me see if I can rotate this a little bit. That's fine, whatever. So let me copy these. World position, I hope. So I copy the whole thing. And I'm going to default the camera to that position. And now if I jump to Galaxy and change the dimensions to all be one set smaller, then I will get the accurate disk generated. Which is a great reason that it's great that I set up the variable galaxy size just for this reason. And it looks like the camera is still not working correctly though. So it reverted to its starting position. Let me see here. I actually didn't even use this, so do either of these? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like that's it either. So for some reason, the camera's resetting its position. And I guess that's because I am doing that in here. Orient camera on generation. Okay, so let me turn this off for a sec. And then I will... I think it's gonna work now. Except for it's not. Oh, you know what I didn't do is I didn't set this to a little bigger than that. And the field of view needs to be up to, it was up to like 100 or something. Alright, so my bad, I forgot the settings. And what was it, like add 3 zeros or? Let's see if 2 zeros is enough. Alright, sweet. So now we can test if, or essentially now what we have to do is go into the galaxy view and jump into the Generate Galactic Arms script. And in here we've got to do the same thing we were doing earlier. We have to actually grab the game object of the arm spline. And then say arm spline.transform.local scale equals, and we have to come up here and say public vector3 galactic arm ratios. And then local scale is very simply a new vector3 that is going to use galactic arm ratios .x times, and as a stand-in I'll do this, but that's not correct all the way. We have to, let's see, we have to grab the galaxy component, and we simply have to come in here and say galaxy dot galaxy dimensions dot x, and then copy it over to these two. Except for this is a z. Oops. This is a z. And then these are y's. And this algorithm isn't as good because I could do another one where it like you just have to pick one scalar value and it'll like scale everything. But in this particular approach, I have to like do some manual adjustments. So it's not perfect for sure. And this is essentially just going to generate the arm spline with its scale, some dimensional value. And actually, something I just thought of is I could just use the disks ratios. Or more specifically, I can just go to the disk scale and set their matching scales. But if I leave it like this, I have a little bit more customization. So let me start with this. So generate galactic arms. And the ratios are just going to be the same as the disks for now. And this is going to generate the spline at much larger positions, but what it is not going to do is increase the it's not going to properly increase the size of the nebula prefab. So I'm going to need to jump into the nebula prefab, and I'm going to need to tweak its scale. And by default, how much of a difference is being made here? So a galactic disk prefab is only 1 by 1 by 1. And a galactic arm spline is 1 by 1 by 1. So let me see here. So disk and arm and a nebula and the disk is actually like 5 by 3. Yes. Basically, we're looking at a hold on, is here. Is it really? The scale is 0.25. The scale on this was 1 because it's a sphere. Okay. So if it massively expands, I mean, basically all we're trying to do is change the prefab. By like the same ratio, basically. I'm trying to set the okay, so it's a fourth of it, for instance, here. And then it's half of it there. And then it's 3 1/3 here. Okay, but there's manual scaling anyway, basically. Crap, so this is incorrect. Wait a minute, it's not incorrect, or hold on. Alright, so the galactic disk ratio is in this. Or no, it's not, because this is... Oh, okay. Okay, so the part I'm missing is the spawn nebula. Somewhere I'm missing spawn nebula, basically. Yeah, spawn nebula. Where was spawn nebula? Where did spawn nebula go? It's a little weird. I thought spawn nebula. Now, let me see if I can search for it. Oh, arm spline has it on there. Okay. So here I'm instantiating a nebula. And it's essentially the same thing here. I've got to say public vector3 nebula ratios, basically. And this is like becoming recursive because now it's gonna call these every time a nebula spawns. So another way to do this, oh, every time an arm spline spawns. So, but I still need the nebula ratios. So let's come in here and say game object dot and then you get your same old thing here. Alright, so we're also going up here again. Get the galaxy component, and we're just going to wash, rinse, repeat here. And this will allow us to just determine how big a nebula is as a ratio inside of the galaxy. So we'll do nebula ratios at x times galaxy dimensions at x, and we'll copy it twice, or copy it once, paste it twice, change all the necessary values. And we can now just manually set, and this is on a spawn nebula though. Which is on a prefab. It might be able to change later. For now though, I think if I drop these three, I can run to nebula prefab. Or no, I have to go to the arm spline prefab. And the nebula ratios were 0.25, 0.5, and then this was like 1.5. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Hold on, this is a little different. It's not half of the whole galaxy, it's half of what the disk was. The disk was only... What was the disk at? Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, okay, so 0.1.1, 0.06. So we're looking at like... .03. I think this is still 0.25 because... Oh, no, it's not 0... Wait, hold on. Yeah, it can just be 0.25. And then this part, 0.01. Is like 33% or something. So 0. Oh, it is a square, isn't it? So it would be 0.03, roughly. Right, it basically is this. Alright, so let's see if this works or not. And I forgot to link. Okay, I forgot to. I can't do this because it's just not correct. However, I can say get component in parent. Or wait, can I do that? So the instances of a nebula object, and the nebula object is instantiating. Oh, but spawn nebula. Well, spawn nebula is on the arm spline. So I think I can say get component in parent. And it knows that it's talking about its arm spline container, which is the galaxy object. So let's see if this works properly. It looked like the nebula was also too big. So I'll have to fix that. Okay, so that's... Yeah, it looks like the nebula is too big. So let me see if I turn off the arm spline here. Okay, I've got that going on. So the arm spline is gigantic. The nebula are gigantic, or what? Because the disk is 10,000, 100, 6,000, 0, 0. The nebula are basically not moving at all. Okay, so it looks like I scaled... Wait a minute. So I scaled the spline object, but it did not scale the actual points or something. Okay, so let's try this again. Galaxy has a spline. And if I change this, does it actually change the size? It says it's changing the size of the spline. But it's not changing the points. So I'd have to change the positions of the knots. Or I'd have to change the position of the okay, so we'd instantiate the spline, but then I would have to come in here and say armspline.knots or armspline.getComponent spline container using splines. Excuse me, my bad. And now that we have the spline container, like this, might as well go like this. Okay, so we have the spline container. We have to say spline container dot. Is there a way to just scale up all the points or something? Let me see. And yeah, so spline container spline, and I can index a Bezier knot with an index. So if I say like 0, I can then say position times equals galactic arm ratios.x or something. And what about like this? Alright, so even though it's a okay, so I'm just going to get the value. So for spline container dot spline dot count, maybe, yeah. Spline container dot spline and I don't know if this is necessary, but I'm doing it anyway. And then I can just say spline at I. And I can't, it's an indexer, so I can't assign it. Or wait a minute. Spline at I dot position I can though. Equals spline at I dot position. Or can I do, how about here, can I do times equals? Is this compiler is gonna get annoyed? Alright, so it's getting annoyed that I'm trying to assign it here. And is there like a set thing or not? Or is it exactly? So can I equals, and it's gonna get mad? Okay, so that's unfortunate. It's not letting me actually... What if I go like this then? Let me try it. I'm trying like this. Can I say not dot position equals something? And it knows that float3 and vector3 are synonymous. So grab the knot. And we're just multiplying the knot by galactic arm ratios. And this is just going to scale the... Oh wait, hold on, this isn't correct because... Okay, so this is not correct. The total difference is like thousands of times or whatever, right? So this isn't going to work. We can't use the galactic arm ratios. We would have to say like... So we do have the galaxy component here. If I use this, we have the total dimensions. Alright, so I have to consider something. How much larger was this? Is this set up for? A disk prefab looks like this. And it goes from 5 to 10,000. So 2,000. That doesn't seem like it's enough. I will try it anyway though. So 2,100 and 2,000 again. Let's just see if these work as magic numbers. Alright, so I'm going to give this a quick try. And if we're lucky, we will have the nebula will spawn in a better position. Even though their size might still be fucked up, but let's see if the knots change properly. Alright, and let's give it a quick go here. Alright, so we have the galactic disk is still set up. Okay, so unfortunately their positions aren't changing. So I'm going to have to figure that out in the next video. Alright, well, I did make a little bit of progress here. I got the scaling system into swing, and I just have to keep tweaking these values until everything is scanning well enough where I can transition between camera views, basically, using Cinemachine. And once that happens, there will be a lot more control for the player to observe what they have discovered in the game. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.